Okay, let's unpack this. If you've ever, found yourself staring at a bottle of animal medication, like something labeled Toltrazuril 5%,
Hmm.
and just felt your brain kind of seize up, you are definitely not alone. It seems like a really common confusion point.
Oh, absolutely. That percentage, it can feel like a bit of a puzzle, can it?
Yeah.
But the information you've shared, it actually gives us everything we need to solve it.
Good.
So our goal in this deep dive is really to cut through that confusion, make the calculation straightforward, and show you exactly how to figure out the right dose of toltrazuril 5%.
Which is used for coccidia a lot, right?
Yeah, widely used for coccidia.
Okay, great. So let's zero in on that 5%. What does that actually mean when we're talking about a liquid medication like this? Because, well, understanding that feels like the absolute foundation based on the material.
It really is. What's key here is translating that percentage into something we can actually work with for dosing. So a 5% concentration for a liquid solution like this, it means there are 5 grams of the active ingredient, toltrazuril, in every 100 milliliters of the solution.
5 grams per 100 milliliter. Okay. And since most vet doses are given in milligrams per kilogram, we need to get grams into milligrams. And just quickly, 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams, right?
Yeah.
So 5 grams is 5,000 milliliters.
Precisely. So now we have 5,000 milligrams of toltrazuril in that 100 milliliter.
Right.
And if you do that division 5,000 divided by 100, you get the critical figure that comes from your sources. 50 milligrams MRM per milliliter ml.
50 mg/ml. Okay, that's the number to remember then. That 50 mg/ml, it sounds like it's the linchpin for all the dosing calculations when you're using this Toltrazuril 5%.
It really is.
And once you have that constant, the rest is surprisingly simple.
It is, yeah. Because the dose itself is based on the animal's body weight. It's typically given in milligrams per kilogram, mg/kg.
Uh-huh.
And the information shows the required mg/kg dose, well, it can vary quite a bit depending on the species you're treating.
Right.
A dog might need a different dose than, say, a goat or a chicken.
Which makes sense. A Chihuahua is definitely not a chicken.
Indeed. But the process to translate that species-specific mg/kg dose into the actual volume you need to give, that's consistent.
Okay.
The steps outlined in your sources are pretty clear. First, you calculate the total amount of toltrazuril in milligrams that the whole animal needs.
The whole animal, right.
And you get this by multiplying the required mg/kg dose by the animal's weight in kilograms, KD.
Got it. So take the recommended dose per kilogram, multiply it by the animal's total kilograms.
Okay.
That gives you the grand total milligrams needed for that specific animal. What's next?
Right. The second step is converting that total milligram amount into the volume in milliliters that you'll actually measure out.
Yeah.
And this is where our 50 milliml figure comes back in.
Ah.
You divide the total milligrams the animal needs by the concentration of the solution, so by 50 milligml.
Okay, right. Total milligrams needed divided by the 50 milligrams per milliliter. That tells you how many milliliters contain the total dose you need. The units even work out nicely, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
Milligrams divided by milligrams per milliliter just leaves you with milliliters.
Perfect.
Exactly. It's just those 2 steps.
Yeah.
Let's try it with the examples from your sources. The first one is for a 10 kilogram dog needing a dose of 10 millikilogram.
Okay, step 1. Total milligrams. Dose is 10 milligrams. Weight is 10 kilograms. So 10 times 10 equals 100 milligrams total.
Right. Now, step 2, convert those 100 milligrams into milliliters using our 50 milligml constant. So you divide the total milligrams, 100 milligrams, by the concentration, 50 milligml. 100 divided by 50 gives you
2 ml. So a 10 kilogram dog at a 10 millikilogram dose gets 2 milligrams of the Toltrazuril 5%. See, once you know that 50 milligml, it really is just basic math.
It is.
Okay, let's try the second one. A 15 kilogram goat kid needing 20 milligram.
All right. Following the same steps. First, total milligrams. The dose is 20 milligrams. Weight is 15 kilograms. So 15 kilograms multiplied by 20 milligrams, 20.
15 times 20, that's 300. 300 milligrams total.
300 milligrams total. Good. Now, convert that 300 milligrams into milliliters, again, using the 50 milligml figure.
Right, so 300 milligrams divided by 50 milligml, that comes out to 6 milliliter.
6 ml. Exactly. 6 ml for that 15 kilogram of goat kid. It just consistently comes back to understanding that 50 milligml number and then applying those 2 simple calculation steps.
Yeah. And because of that consistent 50 milligml concentration, you can, easily see how the dosing works out across different species. Your sources give that handy quick reference based on typical doses, showing both the mg/kg and what that actually works out to in ml per kilogram of body weight.
Right. Yeah, it's quite useful. For cats, they're often dosed at 10 to 15 millikilograms, so that works out to 0.2 to 0.3 milligram for every kilogram the cat weighs.
Okay. And dogs, commonly 10 millikilograms according to the sources, that translates to 0.2 millikilogram.
Yep. Then for livestock, like goats and sheep, if the dose is, say, 20 millikilograms, that's 0.4 milligrams per kilograms.
Horses also often appear at 10 millikilograms, just like dogs, which is, again, 0.2 millikilo.
Right. And poultry, chickens, for example, they often have a typical dose around 25 millikilograms. That translates to 0.5 milligiller per kilogram.
Half an ml per kilo.
Okay.
Rabbits look similar to goats and sheep, 20 millikilograms, or 0.4 millikilograms.
That's right.
And then the smaller guys like ferrets or maybe other small exotics, they often fall into a range, like 15 to 25 millikilograms.
Yeah, that's a common range seen. And that translates to 0.3 to 0.5 milliliters per kilogram.
It's actually pretty powerful seeing how just knowing that 50 milligml lets you quickly derive these ml/kg figures. You just divide the recommended mg/kg dose by 50.
Exactly. And, all of this, it really underscores something the source material emphasizes heavily. Getting the dose right is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a situation where, more is better. In fact, incorrect dosing can have negative consequences. Could be ineffective treatment or even potential side effects from overdosing.
Precision really, really matters here. And the sources offer some key practical tips, don't they, to help ensure you are dosing accurately.
They do.
One piece of advice is, if you're dealing with an animal whose weight you're not absolutely certain of, maybe it fluctuates a bit, it's generally safer to slightly round down your calculation.
That's a good point. Better slightly under than over. And crucially, you must use a properly calibrated syringe, like an oral syringe with clear markings.
Right. No guessing.
No guessing. Eyeballing the dose is just never accurate enough with these concentrated medications. A tiny difference on the syringe can be a big deal, especially for smaller animals.
Good point. And, oh yeah, don't forget to shake the bottle really well before drawing up each dose.
Yes, that's vital. Toltrazuril is a suspension. That means the active ingredient isn't perfectly dissolved. It can settle out at the bottom.
Ah.
So shaking ensures you're actually getting that full, intended 50 mg/ml concentration with every single dose you draw up.
Makes sense. What about how long to give it? Did the sources mention that?
Yeah, they touched on typical treatment duration. It's often given just once a day. Sometimes it's only for a single day. But in cases of maybe more severe infection or depending on the species, it might be recommended for up to 3 consecutive days. But you'd always follow the specific recommendation for the situation, of course.
Right. Always follow the specific advice. Okay, so if we just take a step back, what seemed like a really confusing percentage thing is actually quite simple once you unlock that 50 milligml figure.
It is.
The whole process outlined in your sources, it really just boils down to these core steps.
Okay, first step. Identify the specific mg/kg dose that's recommended for the animal you're treating. Find that number.
Right. Step 2. Multiply that mg/kg dose by the animal's body weight in kilograms to find the total number of milligrams the whole animal needs.
Then, step 3, divide that total number of milligrams by 50. Remember, because the solution is 50 milligrams per ml. That gives you the exact volume in milliliters to administer.
And step 4, maybe the most important. It's just take a moment, double check your math. It's simple math, but like you said, accuracy is key.
Absolutely. Understanding this calculation, it really empowers you to use Toltrazuril 5% as the versatile anticoccidial it's described as. Use it effectively and responsibly.
Exactly. And the source material even kind of hints that having this core understanding makes it easier to use other resources you might find, like, I don't know, cheat sheets or dosing charts.
Right, because you actually understand how those numbers are derived. You're not just following blindly.
You know the why.
Exactly.
So what does all this mean for you listening? Well, mastering this calculation gives you a really powerful tool, but I guess it comes with the responsibility of applying it with precision and care, right?
It does. It really reinforces the value of that crucial piece of advice mentioned in the source material.
Yeah.
Always keep your veterinarian in the loop. Keep them on speed dial, especially when you're administering potent medications like this.
Yeah. Understanding the math is maybe the necessary first step, but it's part of that bigger picture of providing really excellent, careful animal care.